Now we're going to go into a different weight class. This is the 150-gram Fairyweights. So 1/3 the size of the robots we saw previously. This is a fairly new weight class for our club here. And we'll be starting it with Pissed Off Unicorn versus Rev. Pissed Off Unicorn is being driven by Paul of Busted Nuts Robotics. And he's had quite a lot of luck with this robot so far. He had trouble getting it spun up earlier on, but his last match he did have managed to do quite a bit of damage with this, what would be considered, I suppose, a full shell spinner. He's got this triangular piece on top with fingers sticking out, spins and covers the entire perimeter of his robot, making it nearly impossible to get past the weapon into the rest of the, up against the rest of the bot. While Rev, being driven by Shane over in the blue corner there, I think it's only seen one match so far where it was used as a, more or less a pusher. It had just two wedgelets being used and would try and capture its opponent on the middle, but it looks like he's now added a small wedge on the front of it. Despite the fact that this is in the 150-gram category, it looks like it's the size of a full 1-pound ant, but that's because it's largely made of foam. All right, competitors are ready, judges are ready, and in 3, 2, 1, fight. Pissed Off Unicorn getting up to speed quickly here. That weapon doing exactly what it's supposed to do. A little bit squirrely to drive, no doubt. And you can see the little green light coming out the front to help the driver figure out which way is forward. Bouncing off of the small wedge on the front of Rev there. The wedge doing exactly what it's supposed to do, deflecting those hits. Hoping to try and direct Unicorn towards that outside. This is a very slow-moving robot, but as we saw earlier on, that's sufficient in order to get into a good pushing match. Well, Unicorn is dancing around, somewhat avoiding its opponent, perhaps biding its time to strike at just the right moment as it ramps up over top of the wedge and flies off. Now trying to get a bit of control as it gets spun up to speed, and you can see it helicoptering around there as it becomes slightly off balance, bouncing hard again off against the front wedge of Rev. It is now taking a large chunk off. One of the wheel guards has come off of Rev, so that weapon working very well. Except for the weapon may have come loose at this point. I see it spinning, but the weapon itself is not moving. Are now in a pushing match, but oh, there it goes. It is working. Might have just had a bit of slip to it. But he's really got of Rev, and he is tapped out. He is done. The win goes to Pissed Off Unicorn. Congratulations, Paul. Sure enough, that weapon is quite powerful, even though it's made of such small material and just tiny little motors. But when you're up against a 150-gram robot, largely made of foam, all it takes is one good hit like that to tear a wheel right off.